This is the sound of the Killa beatbox body part sample pack. Over 120 loops, samples, and one-shots for your music production. Exclusively on Splice.
Killa podcast. KKPC.com.
Beatbox created.
Killa.
And we're here to talk about world music and street culture.
Killa podcast.
I don't know how to beatbox.
Believe me, I ain't got a clue how to free jump neither. I mean, I dread to think. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Killa podcast. Serves you right. And I'm in the room with, well, a legend in the making and a professional on the adrenaline circuit. This is the Super Frenchie.
What's up?
Bass jumper, pro jumper, surfer, skier, pro skier. I mean, like, this is the adrenaline world, isn't it? It's like an addiction.
It is. I think it's, you start with one sport and then you bounce to the next. And next thing you know, you're a professional adventure sports athlete. Yeah. And you're just hired to do silly things.
Dude, I know those ones. It's like a bug, isn't it? It is like a bug, huh?
Yeah, it is, man. It is. It's, I think we are infected with the restless virus, and we're constantly looking for things to do.
When we talk about, actually, let me bring up speed. When we talk about base jumping, free jumping, we're talking about the kind of characters that jump out of windows or very high hills, cliffs, buildings, and somehow manage to make it look effortless the way they land on concrete, water, ground, and you kind of just wrap their parachutes up and just carry on walking as if the day was just another day. Isn't that right?
Yeah, exactly. You just float smoothly through the sky and land smooth as well, hopefully, and carry on with the day. Otherwise, you just go to the ER and get patched up.
Yeah, I've got dude, I mean, like, I don't want to fast forward too quick. I've got so many questions to ask you. I didn't open the door to the mailbag because if I told people that you was going to be here, because I know you got some fans, I just knew what would like, they're only going to ask the questions that I'm going to ask, you know what I mean? So where did it all begin? How on earth did you get it started?
So, my family used to go on vacation in the Alps all the time. We had our family home was in the Alps in a place called Saint-Gervais near Chamonix. Mm-hmm. And then later on they moved to Megève, which is just the other side of the mountain. But, the last kid of, four kids in my family. And my older sister is 12 years older than me. My other sister is 9 years older. So it's just, the little baby. And apparently I was throwing a fit when they would all go skiing. And I was only 18 months old. And my parents couldn't figure it out. And then I think my dad was like, well, maybe he wants to get on skis. And then they put me on skis. And he just went all downhill from there.
To coin a phrase.
No pun intended.
Madness. So, so you're born in France?
Yes, I am.
Was it... Because I remember parkour being quite a thing in France, right?
Parkour is big, yeah. I think it's big in France, big in Germany, big in any, I think, urban areas. Yeah. France has been always on the forefront of air sports. The first skydiver was Léo Valentin, the first free faller, and I think he was in 1918 or something like that.
No way.
Léo Valentin was the first guy to actually free fall out of a plane. And he actually died in the UK in Liverpool doing a demonstration jump because he was starting to strap on rigid wings to fly like a bird.
Way.
So that was the beginning of wingsuits. He was a French guy. I think his great fucking grandkids are jumping and stuff. So it's family of airmen.
Wow, no way. That's insane.
So, and anyway, where I grew up too in skiing in the Alps is it's the birthplace of modern mountaineering. You're growing up in front of Mont Blanc, the highest peak in Europe. And it's the home of the hardcore. It's the deadliest mountain range in Europe. People come from all over the world to see if they have what it takes. It's like if you're a surfer, someday you will go to Hawaii.
Yeah, exactly.
And see if you get what you got,
It's kind of like a mecca.
Exactly. And the Alps are the same, man, whether it's climbing, or skiing, or jumping, or it's where a lot of these sports were invented, and this is where a lot of these sports are being pushed still now. And I was fortunate to grow up in that environment, and and somehow not get too fucked up over the years, so I could still carry on with doing it. So
Yeah, I guess when you was a kid, it becomes second nature. I guess you begin as being. Your mindset is one of immortality. That's nothing gonna happen to me because I'm. But then all of a sudden, like as you kind of grow up, and you must have bypassed that panic of like doing something too extreme.
it's very interesting. Fear and existential fears are very interesting because they're at the depth and the core of you, and we all have them.
Explain the difference, fear and existential.
So your fear, you talk about immortality. Immortality encompasses it includes your fear, because the immortality is what it's always going to happen. We all have an expiration date, so you better come to terms with that, because if you don't, it's going to mess with you for a long time. But in the meantime, we all question ourselves with, what are we supposed to do? Why are we here? And all these bullshit, And I guess that's called existentialism. And so I think, it's because I'm French, we all about existentialism, And I think, early on, I've had fear my whole life. I'm actually probably one of the most scared person you've ever met in your life. I just knew at an early age how to push through and manage it, and eventually embrace it.
Is this journey that you're going through with your profession, does it aid that? Is that part of the journey? Like it aids you for your feeling of fear?
It helps because you have to deal with it, and you are handed that fear card almost on a daily basis, and so you better deal with it, because that fear is going to exist. It's not going to go away.
That's right.
And my friend Kristen Ulmer, she's a pro skier, and she was the biggest female pro skier in the 90s. She wrote a book on fear. Pretty much the idea is why conquering fear won't work and what to do instead. I can't summarize it all in one word or one sentence, but the best thing you can do is embrace it. It is part of you. It is there. Drive strength from the darkness. That's the best thing you can do.
That's amazing. What a good. That's a wicked saying.
It's my friend recently pointed out. I think it was Carl Jung that said, "No tree, it is said, can reach to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell."
Whoa, that's sick.
So it was mind blowing when she gave me that quote, and and there's so much truth to it.
It's the balance, isn't it? That's essentially what she's saying. It's like it's the yin and yang.
In a way, but it's also knowing where you come from to know where you go.
Yeah. It's deep.
Yeah, it is deep.
You must come across these kind of characters. I mean, there's I'm only guessing here, but in the same way it is with music, there's a certain connection you need to plug into that spiritualizes the thing you're doing. And I guess you come across people like this all the time, that you must have so many chats with people on a level of, well, that was close, I nearly died.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It has to get spiritualized at some point where it's just like you're having chats with people about this stuff.
We do. I'm actually more and more asked to talk about it, because I've given a speech at Google Zeitgeist, in front of MC Hammer and chatting with Morgan Spurlock, and
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty fun, man. And been on 60 Minutes, and I'm also giving private talks to companies as well, and it's a lot of it is a lot of the concepts that you deal with as an athlete, a lot of the variables that you have to handle, what you have to handle mentally and physically, are very much an extension of what a person or a business or an organization deals with on a daily basis. How do you generate creativity? How do you come up with new ideas and concepts and apply them when failure is not an option?
Yeah.
and there's many ways you can manage that. How to avoid complacency, because complacency will kill you. Things like that. And through skiing and base jumping especially, you deal with that so much that you just kind of break down the process, and you know how to deal with it. It's never comfortable. It's never necessarily always, it's never fully enjoyable. But as you push on through and you put yourself in the situation, this is how you reach omnipotence. You feel so hyper aware, and
at its core, you're going through that
I keep rambling because it's a deep subject,
Loving it. Dude, I'm loving it. Like, how often do I get the opportunity to really break down a conversation with somebody that like you say, you're at the front line of human instinct when you're up there about to do something. And like you say, some of these businesses, they like to reverse engineer this as like another way of looking at tackling a age-old problem in business. How are we going to get over this hurdle that we're faced with? And sometimes it's good to have like a public speaker like you come in and just break it down in a different way.
I think it seems to be helpful, because I feel like in the end, life is kind of a succession of patterns. These patterns are always very similar. They just express themselves, or you in a different way. You deal with different variables and outcomes, but the core of it is very similar. How can you develop a technique to work through all that stuff? And I feel like jumping and skiing has been incredibly helpful. At the same time, if like I have a problem with my internet at home, I am freaking out, because this is out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, no.
This is not. I'm not good at it, man.
The one I say. It's like, drop me off anywhere around the world and I'll make my way home. You put me in front of a washing machine that's broken, I'm fucked.
Dude, I'm the same, man. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
My computer is not turning on. What do I need to do? This is the end of the world. I cannot access my files. It's not. But then I'm on the edge of a building and I'm like, whew, okay, we got 300 feet to get a parachute open, and we got to land safely down there between these boulders. I've got this.
Yeah, you got this.
No problem.
Actually, this brings me right on to my next question. So, again, listen, if you want to check out the Super Frenchie Instagram, you're going to get all the hotspot videos. You're going to see him like from all angles, jumping out of these crazy situations onto terra firma. When you're looking up a particular height, obviously there's a bit of homework, I guess, but a lot of times, do you look at can you get a perspective of like when you've got to push the button on the parachute and when you're going to land and things like that?
Well, there's not really a button on the parachute. It's a piece of fabric that you throw in the air that catches air, that pulls on a little piece of rope, and that pulls a parachute, that opens the backpack and pulls a big tarp over your head. And then you have a couple seat belts on each side, and you grab onto whatever handles, and you pull right, it goes right, you pull left, it goes left. And when the ground shows up, you just pull on both of them and try to land softly. It's pretty experimental.
Damn, that's just blown my mind. So it really is a case of technique, all the way down to the ground.
Yeah, keep it pressurized, keep it flying, and keep it smooth, But yeah, there is a lot of homework. You're going to pack your parachute accordingly to the jump that you're going to do. What objects are you jumping from? What are you going to do? Are you going to fall more than, let's say, 4 seconds? What is your free fall going to be? How should you manage that jump? Maybe sometimes, especially on the ski-based jump, which is what I do a lot of the time, I ski off a massive cliff, open a parachute, and then fly away.
Seen that. Yeah, because like you're dodging all these kind of like real hard surfaces. Some of the elements you're riding on ain't got no snow on it. You're just like...
Yeah, sometimes you get rocks, sometimes you get ice, sometimes you can't necessarily see where you're going. But the thing is, sometimes, let's say it's safer to do a front flip, or safer to do a back flip, or sometimes it's safer to do a straight air. So all this, it comes in your jumping plan. You have a jump. You have a jump plan, and you jump the plan. It's as simple as that.
Because I'm seeing a trend on your feed at the moment of backwards flips.
Gainers, yeah.
Yeah. This is.
I love these. They're fun.
Yeah, I'm always thinking like, how far do you give the distance for the jump and before you, I guess backflip, and you're just missing your head on the
Yeah,
launch pad.
you can first of all make sure you don't hit your head. That wouldn't be good.
No.
You know, it's not like you have anything automatic that would open your parachute. So if you pass out, you're done. You know, so if you hit your head, yeah, you could pass out. So it's not rocket science right there. But yeah, if you're gonna do a flip, for example, you jump off and let's say you jump off a bridge and over a river, and you're gonna do a single flip. You're gonna go on your visual aspect. You gotta get your timing down. You can't pull at the wrong time. You know, things are gonna get tangled around your feet, and you're gonna die. That's happened to me before, and you had to untangle them as you're in free fall, and it's quite scary. So you just go and chill, you know, give a good countdown. That's the moment when you're already past the point of no return. That's the purpose of a countdown, because you're not gonna stop. You know, it's like okay, we're gonna launch that rocket in 3, 2, 1. See ya. You push off. Bridge, water, pool. If you do a single flip, if you're gonna do 2 flips, bridge, water, pool. You're gonna do 3, bridge, water, pool.
So from your point of view, you're seeing Bridgewater, pool.
Exactly.
Okay. Now that makes more sense.
Yeah,
I get it.
Exactly.
Because I was thinking as you was doing it, I was like, that must give you the bends of some description. But now I'm thinking, if it's just your vision that's facing forward, it is. It's you're literally tick tock, bang.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that I'm in any way suggesting it's easy.
It's a sequence. It's a sequence. Just respect the sequence. You know, it's you know, yeah. It's just like parking your car. You know, stop. Put the reverse gear. Look in the mirror. No cars. Put your blinker. Back up your car. And when your rear view mirror is about level with the last wheel of the car, then angle it. Put it in the spot and then move it forward. E-brake. Move on. And go grab a cup of tea.
Yeah, because arguably, I guess driving a car is as dangerous when you think about it. It's more common to get an injury in a car, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure.
What was your influence? Who were your influences growing up in that scene?
So, first off, my dad. My dad was, he's 79 years old. He was born in 1939. He still remembers hearing the Nazis walking down the street. That's how old my dad is.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
So when he was older, then he had to do his military service because he was mandatory in France. And he was sent in the paratroopers, in the commandos. And which is, you know, a gnarly thing. And he actually did so well that they put him in special services, temporarily specialized in explosives. So he had a good time. So anyway, I was growing up hearing his stories, and it was cool, you know. He only did 2 free falls, you know. They were jumping with a round parachute, jumping out of the plane, you know, at like 400 feet, and he opens your parachute right away. He did a bunch of that. But then as far as free falling, you know, for 30, 40 seconds, a minute before opening a parachute, and he only did 2 of these. And he was terrified. But, you know, hearing these stories, wow, this is cool. And I was always obsessed with air, you know, as a kid. There was once I don't know if my dad still remembers it, but and I don't remember it because I was technically sleepwalking. But my dad hears noises in my room in the middle of the night. So he stands up, you know, he gets out of bed and he comes to my room, and my bed was here, and there was a table there right in front of my window. The windows were open. It was summer. It was warm, you know. Yeah. And apparently I had a backpack on, a foot on the table in front of the window, asleep. And I was like, you can do it. You can do it.
Oh, my God.
You can do it. And my dad was like, okay, no, just go back to put me in the bed. Shut the window. I went back to bed, told me the story later. So it was this thing that has, you know, when you have a goal that is really powerful and it infiltrates your conscious and your subconscious.
It becomes you, doesn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. And so he did that. Somehow the seed was planted at an early age, as you know, early as 4 years old. And you know, and I can see that I have a 5-year-old son, and he's already dropping in the 6-foot half pipe on his skateboard, and he's got that too, and it's something that is in you, you know, and so my dad was the first to give me around parachutes, but then
give you the parachutes?
No, to give me that bug for parachutes.
Who bought your first parachute?
Well, myself.
Where'd you get it from?
Well, I went to a okay, we're going back to we get to all over the place here.
Yeah,
That's
I've
cool.
got you,
So I'm
So many questions.
I'm a pro skier. I moved to the US. I'm competing in big mountain comps, and I want to base jump so I could ski off big cliffs in open parachutes because I'm tired of the landings start to hurt, and I want something to slow it down. But I also want to go bigger than I've ever gone, which a parachute was the answer. So I'll go to my friend's cousin's school in Texas, outside of Austin. She has a skydiving school. She's like, hey, come over. You can sleep on the couch, and we'll get you certified.
Awesome.
So I save up some money, and I go down there. They gave me a 5-hour class on the ground, and then 2 instructors took me on the plane and put my own parachute on and opened the door. One climbed out, the other one on the strut, the little bar in the wing on the little Cessna, and then it's like, oh, come on. So holding on, and then the other instructor is inside, and it was pretty funny. One of them, his name was Gary, he had 2 teeth in the front, He was like, what do you want to base jump, man? I was like, oh. I want to ski base jump. I was like, well, I want to know who does it. Either talk funny or walk funny. And I'm like, well shit, you already talk funny. I already talk funny. You have an accent. So let's figure it out. But anyway, so I'm climbing on the wing, and then I see Gary there with his 2 front teeth. They're like, yeah, that's cool. And then they hold onto my arm and my leg on one side, and I have my own parachute, and they can give the countdown. And whoa, 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 and just go. And I know I'm just falling through the sky. And this is amazing.
The plane.
Just takes off, and it's the only point of reference, and last thing you know, it's like 1,000 angels are just blowing on you, keeping you up in the sky. And it was freaking cool. And then I had to check my altimeter and get to 5,000 feet, and I had to show that I'm alert, and wave to show that I'm gonna pull, and then pull, and then the 2 guys just I pulled, did it all fine, and they just fly away from me, and they pulled their parachute like 3,000 feet, so 2,000 feet below me, boom, boom. And lay on the ground, and I had a little radio there, and they were like, okay, go left, go right, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and now flare, and then landed. And then as soon as I landed, Gary's brother ran over, took off my parachute, gave me another parachute. I was like, all right, you're going back up. And then did a second jump. And then we did 10 jumps like that in 3 days. And that's how I got started.
What? Okay. Back up. Okay, right. So on that moment when the first time you pulled that parachute, the cord...
There's no cord. It's a pallet chute. It's a little parachute that you throw, and there's a bridle attached from it to that has a pin on it that locks the backpack, and it's attached to the parachute in there. So you throw that little parachute, it catches air, pulls that pin, opens the backpack, and pulls out the big parachute.
I'm gonna keep saying pin. I've got to stop saying it.
It's okay.
But yeah, that makes sense. At what point are you flying down and all these things, all these activities happening, and you're relying on it? Is there a little bit in your mind where you're just like, is it working? Is this happening? Is it happening for me? Or is this going really wrong? I can't feel it.
It's kind of, it's like this common fear of a parachute not opening. It's like going surfing and I'm going to get eaten by a shark.
True.
It happens, but it's pretty rare. And if you do the right things, a lot of the time, these are caused by human error.
That's right.
So when I first jumped, parachute open, I remember, I was like, oh, man, parachute open. And there's like, well, of course it opens. That's what a parachute does.
Yeah.
Parachute means, in French, parer la chute. It means to block your fall. That's what a parachute does. So that's the intent,
And if it's good for the army, it's good for us, right?
Exactly,
come on.
exactly.
Have faith.
Exactly. I'm not as tough as this guys, but it will work. They put it through the test. Anyway, so I never really question the gear, and you also learn as you're being taught what things to look for, make sure things are routed properly and this and that. So you do what we call a gear check.
Yeah, tell me about that.
So gear check, it's like you're going to fly an airplane. You're going to walk around. You're going to make sure there's no screws sticking out and then the wheels are on and, whatever, there's no windshield wipers. But whatever you have to check on your plane, you check it. On the parachute, same thing. Make sure it's connected correctly to the container, the backpack. And it's done through a 3-ring system. Make sure the rings are routed correctly and that the cable is holding it down and that your pin that locks the backpack is routed properly as well and is at the right angle and that it slides out, that your pallet chute, slides out of the backpack or the bag where it's held. It's called the BOC. That it's moving, so it's not stuck in there. And then make sure your harness is tied evenly. Everything has to be symmetrical. If it's tied more on one side than the other, your parachute is going to turn because it's going to put more pressure on one side. Make sure your chest strap is routed properly, then you're not going to slip out of your harness. Make sure on a skydive, you have an automatic activation device in case you pass out. Make sure it's turned on, and then make sure your altimeter is to 0. And then climb in the plane, and then you go up to altitude, and then the rest is just you just carry on with the task that is handed to you.
It's amazing when your life plays in the hands of setups like that, how photographic your memory must become.
It is. Well, it's like I'm a visual person too, so this is how, for school, it was kind of cool actually. I didn't really study too much, but I studied the night before. I could memorize pages just by looking at them. And then I would go and take my test, and I could literally see it in my head. And then it just, regurgitate the information. 2 weeks later, the problem is that I forgot it all. So I was just good at just applying, okay, it's supposed to look like that. And that was very helpful with especially packing parachutes. Yeah, it looks all right. Oh, this does not look like it's supposed to look. Why is it like that? And then you route it and you break it down to find the source of the problem.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, it's very much like here earlier before we started, I had to get the microphone refixed. And it's just a process, isn't it? If you know there's a problem, you go and figure it out. But it's also knowing repetition is key, isn't it?
Repetition is key, man. Whatever you do, you want to be beefed up and do your push-ups every day. You want to be a good beatboxer? Beatbox every day. You want to be a good skateboarder? Skateboard every day. You want to be a philosophy teacher? Think and write down ideas every day and study philosophers. You want to be a skydiver or a base jumper? Try to jump off stuff as much as possible.
Yeah. The higher the
fly
better.
your parachute. Yeah, the higher the better, man. You get time.
The higher the better. How many of you roll out when you go and do these things? And because I notice you've always got a camera guy or you've got somebody filming something, and there always seems to be more than 2 or 3 of you doing the jumps at any given time. It
depends. Skydiving, it's like a party in the sky. You go with your friends and have a good time. Base jumping, you could be several guys jumping off the object. A lot of the time when I'm ski base jumping and doing some of these adventures, I'm kind of one of the last of the Mohicans, There's not many guys really doing what I do left,
God, I love that.
And so...
What a fucking rock star. Don't get more rock star than that.
So ski base jumping, a lot of the time, I'm alone I'm perched on top of that mountain that I either climb all night on to, 5 hours to get to the top of it and be able to drop in, or I get dropped by a helicopter, which doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's kind of cool.
I've seen that. I've seen you do it. I see you do it, and you had a POV camera, like you had a GoPro on your helmet, and you were...
Yeah, I generally have some, one on my helmet, forward, back, some maybe one on my chest, one on my ski. So that's cool. Boom, right there. You're alone, you get 4 angles, and then... camera flies in the helicopter, and then they give you a sign, or you have a little earpiece of the radio, and then it's like ready to drop in. All right, 3, 2, 1, dropping, and then you go, and then you carry on with your day. But a lot of the time, these are the situations where not really anybody else want to be stuck in that situation with you, and you're the circus monkey.
Yeah, totally. It's funny how they're not there. No one's there when it's happening. It's you and your own buddy.
Yeah, they all filming. They want to get the image, and it's kind of funny. A lot of the time, you go on shoots and stuff like that for TV shows or sponsors, and in the end, you're an entertainer. You go and do your thing, but it's very cool because it's kind of it's a team effort too. Because everybody who's involved in it, a lot of the time they're even more scared than you are, and
because they're not because of the faith that they hold in you, that they just want to make sure that you land okay.
Yeah, they just don't want to see somebody die in front of them. Nobody wants to see that, and it's all in the back of their head.
Yeah.
They always think, you hope for the best and you plan for the worst. But you still have, a lot of the time, you know what the worst potential outcome could be. And it's almost, we all at different points on the mountain. One is in the air in the helicopter, and there's a camera maybe sometime half a mile away with a big old lens, and then you're the only one perched up there. But you can sense the energy. Yeah, I'm not a hippie or anything, man. But you feel it. You feel the intensity, I've actually had a shoot where my friend Sky was filming. He's been filming ski movies for the last 20 years. And he's filmed some pretty intense stuff. And one jump we did in Colorado, he put the camera down and he almost threw up because he was almost so stressed. Yeah.
I guess it's because there's a couple of grand's worth of things riding on it. There's the fact that it's one take only. It's on you. This lot are all just like, what if it goes wrong?
Yeah.
It's like a lot of contributing factors, I guess.
You do have that, and it's not just, yeah, it's not just financial. Obviously, you take a risk. There's a lot of gear involved. There's helicopters flying, like literally burning dollars every second. It's expensive to fly these things. And then, but at this point, you don't want to think about all that. All this is just material. It's irrelevant because
Do you block that out? Does it like you kind of like zone out and you don't let these kind of outside forces get in the way of what you're doing?
They're on your schedule, man. You're the one taking all the risk. You're the one that has to go home in one piece. They're on your schedule. They better be, and so you just do your thing, and but you can feel the energy, the intensity, and you have to learn to compartmentalize.
Compartmentalize, yeah.
There's you focus at the task that is handed to you. Get your head in the game, do the right thing at the right time. It's not the time. Sometimes I'm perched on top of a mountain or a cliff, and I'm really stressed and scared, and knees are shaking, and you want to throw up, and it's not really enjoyable at this point. And you start visualizing somehow the jump, and then your mind starts wandering, and you picture you have landed, and you celebrating with your friends, and you grabbing a beer or giving the high fives, and then you going home in one piece, and you kissing your son, and holding your wife, and you're like. And this is the time you're like, whoa, take a step back. The jump has not even happened yet. What are you doing, you fool? Don't start thinking about the comfort because this comfort is going to make you weak. And if you're weak, you're going to die. Right now, think about what you need to do. Focus on each step. Get your head in the game. Get it straight. This thing that's about to happen right now is the most important thing that is happening in your life. Because all the other jumps you've done, they're done. They're not going to kill you anymore. And this comfort has not happened. It's not there yet. The time is now.
Do you think that tussle with the comfort and the adrenaline of the now, does that offset and balance? So all of a sudden you find that sweet spot where you're tackling those two benchmarks and you're like, okay, right, I've got this now. It's almost like nothing else matters and you just do it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Nothing else matters. Nothing else actually matters at all. You're just doing it right, focusing on the right thing, getting your head in the game. And actually, no, by then you're already in the game.
Yeah.
You're living the game.
Yeah.
You are immersed in the action.
Point of no return almost. You're already up there.
Exactly, man.
I can relate to this in part, and only in a small part, in that when I go and beatbox, a lot of the time it's almost like an exam. It could be like the biggest crowd ever, and it has been, but no matter how many people are around you saying, yeah, we're here for you. The moment you're stepping on stage, it's almost like a test, it's an exam. It's in your head to get it right. It needs to be right, it needs to be articulated and projected. But I do often think to myself, right, what am I doing afterwards? I'm having a drink. What am I doing? Where am I having a drink? Where am I having a drink with him? I'm going to be home, I'm going to be in bed, I'm going to be chilling. Don't worry, it's going to be fine. It's that tussle, so I do recognise that.
It's the same, man. It's all on you. Who else is going to do it?
Yeah.
It's all on you, bro.
It's crazy, isn't it?
1, 2, 3, foie gras.
Bye bye, Super Frenchie!
It's not just about the adrenaline. I think it's about our natural purpose, and we live with that duality of our natural selves and our evolved selves.
Duality, yeah.
And that's, I don't know, I feel like I deal with that a lot. And your body tells you to do one thing and your mind tells you to do the other. How do you deal with that? It's kind of hard, huh?
Yeah, man. Like, do you ever feel like? I mean, there's obviously an addictive quality to what this sport brings. Like, when I go on a ride, I want to do it again and again and again and again. Does that? Is this part of the repetition? Is there an addiction to that for you?
Absolutely. I don't really like the term adrenaline junkie, but I think it exists because I think there's some truth to it. But the reason why I've never done drugs in my life is because, man, I've experienced the highest highs that there is to be had out there.
I'm with you, man. You don't need them. Dude,
Yeah.
totally. Good shit.
you outrun an avalanche by base jumping of a 600-foot cliff and fly away in a parachute.
Don't get much more than that.
Heroin can't come even close to that. I've got this. This is so good, and it's productive, and I'm healthy, and it's good, And then I can go home and enjoy dinner with my family. And
how do they feel about this? How does your girlfriend and how's your family feel about it?
So, I mean, my wife knew that, when we're dating, I was already jumping.
Yeah.
So on our fourth date, actually, I was like, hey, I had a little dog at the time, a little lab, I was like, hey, you want to take, her name was Utah. I was like, hey, you want to take Utah for a hike? She's like, yeah, sure. So we're living in Utah with dog Utah. So anyway, we drive down to a canyon, and I was like, all right, cool, let's go hiking. And then look, there was no wind, and I brought a parachute with me, and she didn't know it. I just, as far as she was concerned, I just had a backpack,
Amazing.
So I told her, like, hey, can you wait here like 15 minutes? I'll be right back. She's like, sure, where are you going? I said, I'm just going to go up there, and I'll be right back. And she's like, okay. So I just hike up the mountain as quickly as I can. So I get up there in like 10 minutes, and then put on the parachute, and then I see like a couple of people gathering around her or something, and they're like, hey, is that your boyfriend up there? And she's like, well, I guess. We just started dating like 4 days before
Amazing.
that, And so is he going to base jump? She's like, I don't know. It looks maybe. And then I don't know. And then all of a sudden, she just saw me just jumping off this 350-foot cliff. And then opened a parachute and flew right over and landed and smooth landing. And that was it, So for me, it was kind of like it was kind of like
the James Bond moment.
Just feed, you gotta feed people to the lions sometimes to see if they can handle it. And
right. So you've given her the full glory of like, this is what it's about.
Yeah, this is who I am. This is what I do. Can you handle it?
You like it or not?
Yeah, I just got out of a relationship at that time too, where my other chick could not handle it. I'd come home and she'd be like, "You're gonna die." I know. It's like I don't need this shit in my life. I know I'm perfectly happy. I think I know what I'm doing. So far, I'm surviving it. I only got hurt a couple times or more, but whatever, And then, so anyway, that's what we did, and it was cool. So anyway, she's always been fine with it, and she still is. I did have a huge crash 6 years ago.
Okay.
5.5 years ago, almost 6 years ago. And, that definitely, put on a lot of stress for her and on me, It's just, that's not easy, but because once you experience, it's easy to be a boxer if you're gonna always win by KO, but the day you are knocked out, you're gonna start thinking about it a little more. And that day I literally got knocked out, So
and you had to reassess maybe how you want to move forward, or it's just like, okay, I just gotta get better.
The problem is, you get spanked. I had 3 days in a coma, brain bleeding, double fracture on my femur. I was screwed up, and then I got home 6 days before the birth of my son. And so it was the worst time ever to do all that stuff.
Jesus Christ.
And then we're done, my wife mainly is done with a newborn, and then I'm done with just getting healthy so I can get back out there, because it's also how you make a living,
Yeah.
And it's not just a question of money, but it's also your purpose in life as an individual. This is what you do. And then
comes you, doesn't it? And then you can't just go, no, I'm going to work in a shop. It doesn't work like that.
No way, man. I'm not going to sell washing machines. That's not what I do.
Yeah.
The thing is, it comes with an identity crisis in a way too, which feels at the time an identity death, because you think about who you were and what you were doing and where you are now. You don't necessarily like the way things turned out, but you got to get back to what you want to be doing.
Interesting. Even like a death wish. Is that too strong?
Not a death wish, but it almost feels like maybe it should have been the end, and somehow you pulled through.
Each time.
Well, especially getting spanked on that big accident. That's the only the one time. Everything else is not just death wish. It's a celebration of life.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
and that's the thing. It's a celebration of life that when
but you're talking about that one point.
That one accident. Yeah. And then, anyway, so within a few months, you have to build that confidence and the skills to get back. But this confidence and these skills took years to be able to build, and develop. And so now all of a sudden you're under a time crunch. And,
yeah, man.
It's not like I didn't have pressure from sponsors. Everybody was super cool, but the pressure I had was the worst pressure of all, which was the pressure I imposed on myself.
Yeah.
But it took me 3 months to walk, 4 months later, I was skydiving. I mean, I was limping to the plane, but I could jump. And
You just got to get back on the horse, isn't it?
yeah, you
really?
get to, man.
Or you get scared. It's like people who crash on motorbikes and things like that.
Yeah.
The severity of injury is nothing compared to mentally preparing yourself to get back into like the.
Yeah. It's one thing to get your body straight. It's another one to get your head straight.
Yeah.
And literally, I was jumping and I did a bunch of videos and, and everything worked well and had, some very successful videos and, several million views and this and that. I worked with TV shows. Things went really well. It was cool, but physically I was able to do it. But mentally, I was able to have a rational, logical approach on how to do it and stay safe. But it's not like it was like organic and so in tune and explosive like it was before. It felt like almost like the raw talent was just dormant, and that I just knew how to do it, but that explosive side was gone. And literally it came back, after 4 years, and all of a sudden I could just, by doing it over and over again and going back to paying your dues. And coming back from a crash, I could get up at 7 a.m, go do a double backflip, and go get breakfast, and be like, "Yeah, I got this."
So we
cool.
did. Yeah. It's 10,000 hours, isn't it? Once you've already garnered that, then all of a sudden it's by numbers. But then you've got to try and remind yourself get the fun back into it, get the excitement, get the
exactly
the bang. Yeah, man.
But it's hard because you reach the point that you wanted to reach as a professional, but then all of a sudden you go back to being an intern. And you're like, oh man, I was like a senior executive at this thing.
What's going on? Yeah.
Like and I was trying to be CEO. Well, now I gotta work my way all the way up to CEO again.
Yeah, totally.
That's how it felt. But hey, whatever. It's you can do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I did it, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very good, and for you to pull through that, and family still supporting you, still doing your thing. Do you know what I mean? I guess that makes things stronger too, doesn't it?
Yeah, in a way too. It's when you have things are on the line, you get no choice.
Yeah.
And it becomes a strength too. It's some people could look at it as a hindrance, and some people could look at it as a strength. And for me, it's just never any choice. It's just, you got to do it.
Just is what it is.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
And you travel around the world a lot, man. Like, you do a lot. You got a lot of things going on. I see you in so many different countries. It's awesome.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
You know what I mean? What do you listen to?
Oh, I'm a big doom and sludge metal guy.
Sludge metal.
Yeah, I love
You
sludge.
elaborate on that. I've not heard that before. What's sludge metal?
You guys are British. You have some of the best sounds that come from here. I just went to Electric Wizard and it just blew my mind.
Talk to me about sludge metal.
Sludge. I just like it. Sludge and doom. I just like it slow. I like it heavy. I like it steady.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I saw this piece that you did in your car of the band.
Yeah.
This band, they're from Britain, aren't they?
Yeah.
Called?
It was the song was Attack of the Altaika, and it was Elephant Tree.
Elephant Tree, yeah, because
Exactly.
I checked it out.
Yeah.
It is really like you say, it's so loose and halftime, and yeah, it's got a
So
real
good.
honky kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, but I just love the steadiness and power that comes out of it. It's just like
Yeah.
a bulldozer.
I get ya.
It's just plowing through life, but with a melody.
Yeah, there's a melody to it. Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah,
I like that
But
too.
I go back and forth. I love industrial. I love metal in general. Metal can be broken down to a lot of subgenres, but I love doom metal. I love sludge. I love stoner metal. And I'm not a stoner, but somehow I love it. And lately I have been falling back into 9 Inch Nails like crazy.
Are you a 9 Inch Nails fan?
Oh man, I've been
Interesting.
listening to White Teeth, that album, which is old, but somehow I just I heard it many times, but I really discovered it again now, and especially that song, Right Where I Belong. Literally, this song came on, and I was just at home doing stuff, and around the 3-minute, 20-second mark, I have goosebumps just talking
Do you
about
got
it.
it? Yeah.
It hit me so hard, I started crying because it was so beautiful.
That's all, dude. You're not. That's where you go. You're not the fan, because I'm not a big like 9 Inch Nails fan. But the amount of times I talk to people on podcast about how much they love 9 Inch Nails, and I'm like, shit, I need to really get into this. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm a little bit late to the party or something. But
That's okay, man. You can still get laid.
yeah, totally. The sun ain't up yet, buddy. And what about when you're doing the jump? Like, what's the tune of choice? I mean, you know, what's the one?
I listen to a lot of. I love dark music. You know, like I said, I drive a lot of power from the darkness.
Yeah,
you know, probably because I've had to deal with it a lot. You know, my my sister committed suicide and lost a lot of friends around me, and there's a lot of negative, dark emotions out of that.
Wow,
But
okay.
you can turn the darkest stuff into a positive thing in a way, even though it feels horrible and brutal at the time. And I feel like from dark music kind of creates that mood. But then you drive so much energy that's just this relentless embrace of struggle, and sometimes when you climb a mountain for hours, there is literally physical pain, and you just learn to take your pain with patience, and I feel like dark music kind of helps you get in that
Drives
mindset.
you further.
Yeah,
I get
there's this DJ that I recently discovered, Sidewalks and Skeletons.
Okay.
He's from the UK.
All right.
And yeah, his music is so dark, and I contacted him, and he hooked me up with a bunch of his music, and it's really just powerful and beautiful. And
Sidewalk and Skeletons.
Sidewalks and Skeletons. Yeah.
Check him out.
Yeah, check him out. Then I really love. I'm good friends with Chino Moreno from the Deftones. Chino lives not far from where I live, and we go mountain biking and skiing
That's right, I
together.
remember you
He's
saying,
a great dude, and I love the guy, and he has so much emotional intelligence, and that he's a really intriguing guy, and he has this other band from I love the Deftones, obviously, always have huge respect, but he has this other band called Crosses. Crosses that is definitely a lot focused on a lot of dark melody and deep emotions, and it's a little more emo than Deftones, but it hits me at the core. You know, I have climbed countless mountains just listening to that whole album.
That's dope. Yeah.
There is another band. I think they're Russian. Kauan, Kauan. And it's
I've heard of these guys. Yeah,
a lot of deep instrumentals, and this is pure skier mountain climber music. He just gets you in the zone, and and you keep going and going and going.
That's sick.
And I love that stuff, man. This stuff just takes me away, and it's there's so much beauty about it, and I think, you know, obviously, you know, it's a cliche things to say, but music becomes the soundtrack of our lives.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But then it also becomes the frame of reference for your emotions, and you can condition yourself for anything with any kind of music. If you know what music does what, you can find the right tunes to achieve the right things.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So that's how I feel about music.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's awesome. Well, look. I mean, where else can we go? Let's go and jump later. Let's do some jumping. I'll come film it.
You want to come and hang with us?
Yeah, man.
Should we get you on top of a building as we
do
could
it.
jump away?
Yeah, we're gonna film that. This gonna be on this.
All right, game on. Let's
Yeah, we'll
go. Let's go discover London by night, brother.
Yeah, man. Bro, it's an honor having you as a homie.
Dude.
Always a pleasure to see you, brother.
Same here, bro.
You know we got
Thanks for
this.
your time. Let's go party.
Yeah, man. Ladies and gentlemen, Super Frenchie.
Cheers, guys.
Stay lucky. Killa podcast.
Stay posted at Super Frenchie Official. Booyah.
You know it.
Yeah, bro.